everybody. This is once again Tikva from Homeopathy for Humanity. And
Hi.
Hi.
okay, guys. So we are moving on to Materia Medica Pura by Hahnemann. And we are going to go to the very first remedy that is in the book. This medicine was also in his very first provings, which was Fragmenta. Okay, so the provers of this medicine are Ehner, Gross, Frederick Hahnemann, Hornberg, Ruckert Sr., Staff, and Walle, or Will, I'm not sure how to say that. And a few of the traditional medicine authorities are recorded with the effects of aconite, are an article from 1496 by Abano. Zinc Bacon Philosophy Transactions, Hufflin's Journal by Durer. Gemlin from 1652. Mathulius, 1739. And Cloud Richard from Medical Journal, and Stork. And in the Fragmenta, the aconite symptoms are 213. In the first edition, the Materia Medica Pura, there are 314, the second, 429, and the third, 541. So we have 541 symptoms recorded here in Materia Medica Pura. Now we're going to try screen share. Got that? Did it come up? Do we have a picture on our screen share?
No, I'm not seeing anything.
How about that? Okay. Sometimes technology is just overwhelming.
Yeah, I know. I need to buy better headphones.
Okay, so our screen share is not working, huh?
No.
Let's try again.
Something did change for me, but I'm not seeing screen share at all anymore.
Okay, so if I'm running, see, I usually use Chrome, and this is Firefox. And Firefox says I can't have permanently screen share. It won't remember it for me. And I'm going to allow it again and try again. And now my mouse is in two pieces. Can we just say this is not going well?
No, it is.
No, it's not going well. Okay, let's see if we can screen share again. Okay, did we see this?
No.
No. Okay. Screen share does not work.
No.
Did this work?
No. I just see you and me. I don't even see Sanjay.
Okay.
But this only happens every time you try to turn it on. When you don't, then I can see the screen share.
Okay, can anybody else do the screen share if I send it over on WhatsApp?
Send me now.
Okay. We have better screen share set up here already, but yeah, this is,
Where is the picture?
yeah, there's one picture. We have a whole, and then we have the first few pages of Materia Medica Pura, of Aconite, and I will send them to you. And then the rest, I was hoping somebody would be able to open the book.
I don't have the book. I need to wait for my salary.
Yeah, but Sanjay put a free copy of the book up on the thing.
Oh, you think I should just like photocopy it?
No, you can just open it and read from there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
So we have the first 3 pages here.
Now
Where did
you
he
can
send
see.
it?
Yes. Okay, so that's an aconite plant.
Yeah.
That happens to, does that grow where you live, Ivana?
Oh, I've got no idea. I know we have Belladonna. We should have Aconite. But
I think you do.
it's like a mountain plant, right? It grows on the higher areas.
Yeah, it grows where I live.
I think it should. I know it grows in Germany, and our climate is not that much different. I think it should be found in like the higher mountains.
Yeah, I live in the mountains of Israel, and it grows here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it looks like. There's a botanical. It's called monk's hood as well.
Monk's
Because
what?
monk's hood, as in hood.
Ah, because of the flower?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh no, my laptop's battery is off. God.
Do you have your plug handy?
Sorry?
Do you have your plug handy?
I have no idea where it is. Just a second. Did not
Okay.
prepare myself. At all.
I tried preparing myself.
Well, you did good. Unlike me, but that's how we learn from our mistakes, right?
Oh, no, I'm using an entirely new and different computer, so I am totally handicapped.
Oh, I found it. Yay. Okay. Yes, I'll be able to read if needed. I just don't know where the PDF is.
Okay, so where's the first? Yes, in the group.
Okay.
There is a PDF from like archives.org or something like that. Okay, so Sanjay, Materia Medica Pura. Okay, I'm going to turn off my screen. My browser was preventing access to my screen share. Okay, do you guys see the screen share here?
Yeah.
Okay. Aconitum napellus. The freshly expressed juice of this plant at a time of the commencement of flowering, mixed with equal parts of spirits of wine. Spirits of wine would be like wine that's reduced and more like a brandy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is, go ahead.
No, I know it's like popular here as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you mean. It's a kind of brandy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so remember just yesterday in the group, we discussed in the chronic diseases how to take a plant that is a freshly expressed juice kind of plant. You can smush it up in your mortar and pestle, make it a pulp, and put it with equal parts of alcohol. And put a stopper on that. and let it sit for 24 hours before we continue with our medicine making. We went through that very recently in our group.
Yeah.
And anybody who reads the group will know that. Those who do not read the group do not know that. And those who want to join the group after seeing this video, send us a message. Just like down below, when you read the box, it says you can leave a comment. You can leave a comment that you want to join the group, and we'll find a way to get in contact with you and join you to a learning group. Okay, guys? So although the following symptoms do not express the whole significance of this most valuable plant, they still reveal to the thoughtful homeopathic physician a prospect of relieving morbid conditions in which traditional medicine has hitherto employed its most dangerous methods. For example, copious bloodletting, and all its complex would-be antiphyllotic treatments. That would mean to remove inflammation and fever. Often ineffectively, Hahnemann says. I guess bloodletting doesn't actually relieve people's fever or inflammation, huh? And,
weird.
I know, right? What a surprise.
Always works for me.
If I don't faint, I have a tendency to pass out.
Hey, but my blood pressure was high before I fainted, and after I fainted, it was low. So I guess it worked, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens to me. The one time, I have to be like laid down on a table, and it's like, okay, just leave that woman there to do her thing until she recovers from that blood draw. Yeah. Yes, those of us with sensitive natures don't enjoy it. Other people don't care at all, and some of us tend to faint. Okay, anyway, Hahnemann says that people try to use bloodletting to reduce inflammation and fever, which I would not suggest. Okay.
Maybe better not.
I allude to the so-called pure inflammatory fevers, in which the smallest dose of aconite enables us to dispense with all the traditional antipathic treatments. That means similars. And so there would be like, in the olden days, they used to put people in ice baths when they had fever and they were worried about it. And then the ice bath, then after they take the person out of the ice bath, sometimes their fever would increase even worse, and sometimes they'd even have a sudden increase with a kind of like an epilepsy kind of thing. You hear everybody scared of. The epilepsy that people always give their children Tylenol so that they don't have when children have spasms with their high fever.
Oh, I know what you mean. I can't remember. Like the brain swelling?
No meningitis or anything more. Not encephalitis. Those spasms. What is that called? How could this be like brain? Everybody's scared about it, and that's why all parents give Tylenol, ibuprofen, that kind of thing to reduce the fever.
I don't get it.
No, it's not sudden infant death syndrome. Oh gosh, we're just going to have to leave it because I just can't remember the word for it, but this is the thing that everybody's worried about when their children have fevers.
Maybe Tylenol made it up.
Anyway, Tylenol has a very interesting thing. Yeah, febrile convulsions. Thank you, Renuka. Thank you very much. That. Sometimes when people have a ice bath as their antipathic treatment, sometimes they come out of that ice bath and then their body shoots a higher fever, and that gives febrile convulsions, which tend to be harmless. And as I was saying, Tylenol is a very interesting studies have come out recently on Tylenol. England found that parents were giving copious amounts of Tylenol to children. And they found out that Tylenol numbs their emotional responses. So children get sedated by Tylenol, and it makes them more comfortable, and therefore parents need to do less parenting when they have their children on Tylenol.
That makes so much sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the empathy reaction doesn't work properly when people are on Tylenol.
I've read in some books that like when people have sudden fevers and such things, that it can be connected to the subconscious mind. So if you kind of suppress that, it's no wonder that like it screws up with your, emotional mind. That's like sort of my interpretation, but yeah, cool either way.
Yeah, so using Tylenol all the time is a bad plan, not to mention that it can destroy the liver. Okay, so outside of Tylenol, which is the most common treatment for fever these days, okay, so when you use Aconite, it relieves rapidly and without evil effects. In measles, in puerperal malarias, and in the acute pleuritic fevers, etc., its curative power is marvelous. When the patient, being kept rather cool, is given alone, all other medicinal substances, even vegetable acids, being avoided. In the dose of 1,000th part, a drop of the decillion development of power, it is seldom that a second similar dose is required 36 or 48 hours after the first. So, when you have a patient that has a fever, that one drop alone of the medicine brought up to the amount that we need, just as Ivona told us about in the previous webinar. The small globule, the size of a poppy seed, moistened with it.
In a water dose, preferably.
Definitely in a water dose. We don't want to give those pellets dry. And then he says, just a drop of that can bring down the fever for how long? 36 to 48 hours. But it is rarely needed to give 2 doses. But in order to remove from our conscientious, vinegar interferes with the action of aconite. So all vegetable acids are a problem and can interfere with the treatment.
Okay.
Which is important to remember. That's why I think it's very handy to be able to go to the proving data and see what are the actual things that are going to interfere with the medicine.
Okay.
Okay. But in order to remove from our conscientious treatment all that routine practice, which is only too apt to regulate its treatment in accordance with the elusive names of diseases, it is indispensable that in all morbid conditions in which aconite is given, the chief symptoms of the malady, therefore also of the acute disease, should be found accurately reproduced among the symptoms of aconite. The effect is astonishing. And this is how Burnett became a homeopath. I'm pretty sure it was Burnett. He was in one of the hospitals, and he'd heard that aconite can cure fevers. So he went into the children's ward with a drop of aconite in a bucket of water and told the nurses to administer some of this water to every child that is here with fever. And he can't, maybe it was Hughes. I'm not sure. I'd have to check on that. Either that, one of those early British homeopaths did a experiment. He was not a homeopath, he was an allopath. He heard about this and went into a fever ward and said to the nurses, take this substance or this water that has a little bit of aconite in it and see what happens. He came back the next morning and all the children that had been there for fever were well the next day. And then he says, oh my goodness, the children are well, let's study homeopathy. Now, how often do we hear these stories, right?
Yeah. All the time.
Yep, all the time. When people are not too...
Oh no, I can't hear you. No.
Your voice gone.
Ah, okay. I thought I was the only one. Tikva.
Your voice gone. Somebody type for her.
Okay. She's in.
Yeah, even I can't hear anything.
Tikva. I can't hear you.
Type message for her.
Why all me? Okay, I'll send it on WhatsApp as well. I can't hear you. God damn it.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with her. Yeah,
I
she
think
hasn't replied.
she's no. I haven't seen. Hello.
Sanjay sir,
Yeah.
how are you sir? How is your fever and all?
It's still going on. I'm really, it's horrible. That's why I'm just sitting, relaxing.
Oh.
Actually, Hanuman mentioned when we wear woolen cloth or very close to our skin, will increase the fever and will increase the body temperature. Like sir, I saw the. I think you wearing that sweater like woolen cloth now. So is it good for in fever conditions, sir?
No, actually, it's. We will talk later. Actually, it's
Okay,
on record.
Okay.
Huh? Why Tikva is not stopping?
I don't know.
I should stop this record.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Wait, I will pause it.
As cock.
Is being recorded.
Okay.
Okay, so we see here in inflammatory fevers, it is not a good idea to bleed the patient because the patient needs their blood and it requires months for the restoration of the blood for those who have not died during the process of bleeding them. Okay,
In general, not a good idea.
Yeah, bad idea.
In general, just leave people alone and their blood.
Yeah, let people keep their blood.
Yeah.
And let them get well in other ways. Okay, can we scroll down a little bit, Sanjay? Okay, and then we go back to what the size of the dose is again. The small globule, the size of a poppy seed.
The thousandth of a decillionth.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and we just moisten that and we give that in water. Okay, a little farther, Sanjay, or next page. Okay, yeah, so the patient may be carried off by death or at all events in the chronic after affections artificially caused by the means employed, and he is bloodletting. Do not do bloodletting. Okay. In these acute cases of disease, sometimes a homeopathic intermediate remedy is required for the morbid symptoms remaining after 12 or 16 hours of action after the first dose of aconite. But it is very rarely that a second dose of aconite is needed after this intermediate remedy. So it can be that when we have an acute, that sometimes after giving aconite, there will be symptoms remaining 12 or 16 hours later after that first dose of aconite. And then rarely we need to give the aconite again. So let's say we have a patient we give aconite to, then later on maybe they'll need bryonia, but we probably won't need to go back to aconite. By means of aconite carefully administered in this way, in a disease of the above-mentioned character, all danger is removed, even in 4 hours, and the excited circulation resumes its tranquil, vital course from hour to hour. Okay, so he talks here about excited circulation. And there's an interesting use of aconite, is that when sometimes you'll have a patient that will have not constant high blood pressure, but sometimes high blood pressure that comes in, with like an emotional distress and things like that, that it can bring down the blood pressure very quickly. So that's one of the therapeutic ways to use aconite. Okay, so when we use this, the danger is removed even in 4 hours. Our patient might get well just within a few hours. And what he calls excited circulation would be that the fever or the inflammation will get better from hour to hour. Although aconite, on account of the short duration of its action, which in such small doses does not exceed 48 hours, that means that he's done enough work with aconite to know that 48 hours is just about the amount of time that people will stop having proving symptoms with it. So it's a short-acting remedy, meaning that it's most suitable for acute or intercurrent treatments, not for chronic disease. And it might seem to be useful only in acute diseases, yet it is an indispensable accessory remedy, even in the most obstinate chronic affections, when the system requires a diminution of this so-called tension of the blood vessels, the dictum of the ancients. Yeah, so here he's actually saying that we often can use it in chronic disease as well, because the so-called tension of the blood vessels, which would be, what do we put that in modern terms? Anybody?
Hypertension.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety, right? Anxiety, hypertension.
Oh, okay.
And and hypertension does happen.
Why? Why?
A lot of
Why anxiety?
Yes, this is a very, very good anxiety remedy. This
No,
is
I know, but I don't see the relation between anxiety and tension of the blood vessels.
because a lot of people, when they have anxiety, they feel really tense and their heart beats fast. And they have palpitations, right?
Yeah, but still, like, how do you know if you have anxiety that your blood vessels are affected? If that question
Well,
makes sense.
anybody want to venture an answer on that?
Actually, it is a natural action, response of body towards
Okay.
anxiety. To means the flexibility, the elasticity of the vessels, actually they get
Increase.
rigid becomes more rigid.
But why? Why does the body
It's
do that as a response to stress?
uh, it's deep pathological to explain.
Oh, come on.
Some
You can
subconscious
do it.
actually. Huh?
Yeah, the pathology professor can do it.
Of course, and easily and in an understandable manner. If you think it's too
No,
long to explain, we don't have to do it. I understand.
because it's a totally different part actually. It's the from that what you call sympathetic and parasympathetic
Yeah,
nervous system.
yeah. So the
The vagus
sympathetic
So the
nerve,
nervous
hormonal
system starts working,
there's a
right? In
right there.
anxiety.
There's a very good action on the vagus nerve with
yeah.
aconite. So
Oh.
when we go to our Boger, Boger
Mhm.
tells us that the vagus nerve is activate is the action of aconite is very strong on the vagus nerve. And
You
therefore
know,
we know that in anxiety and sudden increases of blood pressure and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so this is where our Boger's synoptic key comes in very handy for our quick reference of the location of action.
Fabulous.
It's a real go-to book after you've done your initial repertorization. Then you can kind of weed out a little bit more and before going to the proving data to find the most important symptoms there. Somebody else talking or are we okay here?
I think we're fine.
Okay. Aconite is also the first and main remedy in the minute dose indicated above in inflammation of the windpipe. Croup. So
What?
those three
First remedy
children,
in corona.
yeah, yeah,
First remedy in corona.
and for
Really?
croup, yeah,
Flu and laryngitis.
yeah, and fevers and all kinds of inflammations. I have all my kids have a olfactory bottle of aconite available at all times, just in case.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, every time they go through the trains, though, they end up ruining medicines, which is a little problematic. Okay, so where there are various kinds of we have metal detectors on our trains.
Oh, I thought because they have it in liquid, so it shakes.
No, because the metal detector, if you take your backpack and you put it on the metal detector instead
Yeah.
of remembering to put it in your pocket, you know, you're not sure your medicine's still good.
Oh, right. Yeah, we won't ever. Well, maybe soon we'll find out, or in due time.
Yeah, train travel is fairly typical here.
Okay.
Okay, so it produces aconite. Okay, all various kinds of inflammation of the throat, as also the local acute inflammations of all other parts, particularly where, in addition to thirst and quick pulse, there are present anxious impatience and
Mm,
uncontrollable mental agitation and agonizing tossing about. So if you see somebody who is thirsty with a quick pulse, who seems anxious, and they feel like they're starting to get sick, you can just go ahead and have a whiff of that aconite.
mm.
Or you can take a
Cool.
dose. It's just that whiff acts so fast. Okay, so
Wow.
aconite, it produces all the morbid states similar to those seen in persons who have had a fright combined with vexation. And it is also
Ah,
the first and quickest remedy for them. So what's vexation? What
like
does
when
it
you get
mean?
irritated, angry, right?
Yeah. Anybody else want to talk about vexation? What does it mean to be vexed?
Please, people.
Upset, irritable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Upset, irritable, easily angered.
Agitation.
Yep, irritated. So when we
Okay.
have quick
But
pulse, irritation,
Frustrated.
yep, frustrated falls along vexation as well.
but so am I getting it right? Like if we have certain disposition and then if we have experiences of fright and vexation, we always risk some kind of illness.
It happens.
Yeah. Okay. It's like a malefic factor.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it
So it's not
happens.
good to be vexed, basically.
It's good not to be vexed.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Didn't know
so,
that.
but when we have a vexed patient that has been frightened, they've had a recent fright and they're vexed. And then if we could even include agitated and thirsty and or quick pulse, we know for sure we can apply aconite in this situation.
When there is a person scared or frightened, natural effect is there is a dryness all over that throat, mouth,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And in such condition, he says that Aconite could do well.
Okay.
Which it does.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why people give it at the first stages of fever.
Sorry?
A lot of people give it only at the first stages of fever, and that's all they
Yes.
give it for. But it really has a lot of different applications. Now here we're
Mm-hmm.
going to see here in the selection of aconite as a homeopathic remedy, particular attention should be paid to the symptoms of the disposition, so that they should be very similar. And here we have the disposition at the very end of aconite, because this is before they switch the schema. We have here, I'm going to read some of the disposition of
Woohoo.
aconite. Okay, sometimes he is rational, sometimes he talks nonsense.
Cool.
Transient insanity, morose, inclined for nothing, depressed spirits even while walking, morose as though he had no life left in her, becomes happy and inclined to sing and dance, more gay and excited than usual. And gay here does not mean homosexual, it means like happy and joyful. Alternate attacks, now this is important, alternate attacks of opposite states of humor. So when we have somebody who goes rapidly from, let's say, happy to sad, happy to angry, things like that, sometimes people think of those alternating states as belonging in which remedy?
Anacardium. No?
Now think less severe.
Opposing states. No, I have no idea.
Pulsatilla.
Oh.
Changeability, right? So when we have
Uh,
alternating attacks of opposite states of humor, we might need aconite. Sometimes he is quite rational. Sometimes he talks nonsense. Sometimes he despairs of his recovery. Sometimes he is full of hope. After vomiting, immediate revival of hope. Trembling and tendency to palpitation of the heart and anxiety, and increased heat of the body, especially of the face.
Increase what? Of the body, what?
Increased heat of the body, especially of the face. So,
Okay,
you know, we often see red cheeks and things like that in the aconite.
Okay, right.
Palpitation of the heart with great anxiety, oppression of the breathing, and great weariness in all the limbs. It rises from thence into the head, and she is if stupefied from flying, redness in the face. Okay, so they're talking about anxiety with oppression of the breathing, palpitations, weariness of all the limbs, and then a kind of like stupefaction of the mind. Radhika, you said something? Did we hear Radhika say something? I
What
thought she
did
said
you say?
something.
No. I didn't.
Hmm? No?
Hello?
No, she didn't say anything.
Okay, I thought that I heard somebody talking.
No.
Okay, so there's anxiety and peevishness with fine shooting in the side of the chest, then beating and aching pain in the head, inconsolable anxiety with piteous howling, and complaints and reproaches about trifles. Okay, so we hear this piteous howling. When we think of like piteous moaning, we think of camelia. But maybe we should also think of aconite. Because aconite and this little crossover there with the piteous sounding. Okay, piteous, anxious complaints, cowardly, fierce despair, loud whining, weeping, bitter complaints and reproaches, fear lest he should fall. Then we have anthrophobia. We have fear of people. And then we have buried in thought and a lucid vision, solicitude, grief. The slightest noise is intolerable to him. Music is intolerable to her. It goes through every limb. She becomes quite melancholy. And then we have the tendency to be startled and taking every joke in a bad part.
Sorry, are we able to see what you're reading from? Or
No,
you're reading
because
from? It's
we
from the
are
book.
reading from the book and we were not able to get anybody to make enough slide share.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to get back to
Sorry.
that. As here Hahnemann says that we need to have, especially the mental symptoms, to make sure that the curative powers are going to be right. So we have disposed to be cross, quarrelsome, reproaches people, quarrelsome, alternating from hour to hour with silly insanity. He chatters childish nonsense and is extravagantly merry. Angry disposition, obstinacy, misanthropy. Misanthropy means hating people, hates people. Composed, staid, although not cheerful humor is the curative action. Being composed and staid is curative action in this symptom number. Lively imagination. Sometimes he appears to weep. Sometimes he trills. And then there are insane tics and dread of impending death.
What is the
Mortal
page number?
anxiety. I'm on page number 46, but we have only 2 more things here. We're just about done. Dread of, okay, so people hinge a lot of aconite on dread of impending death. I'm sure that we've all read that.
Yeah.
But
Keynote.
it is only one small thing here. Very, very, very small. And it's from Richard 1C, and it is from a poisoning and not even from a proper proving, which is interesting.
That sucks, yeah. Maybe he was right.
Yes, he might have been right, but I'm just saying that it's not actually in the proving data, it's in the
Understood.
data, which is interesting.
Understood. Yeah, for sure.
There are lamentable fears of impending death. Okay, so that does happen, and fear of some misfortune happening to him. So there's a lot, those are the basic outline of the possible mental presentations of aconite. Okay, can we go back to our screen share? Hence, it is indispensable in vexation in women during the catamenia. Without this excellent soothing remedy, are often too easily, often instantaneously suppressed by such emotional disturbances. Okay, so when women are having their period, they often need aconite. Now we can see whether or not that's true in the modern woman, but here he says that it is indispensable after fright or vexation in women during catamenia, which means during their menstruation, which without this excellent soothing remedy, he calls it a soothing remedy, and that women tend to be emotionally disturbed, and for this purpose, a single momentary olefaction, add a vial containing a globule the size of a mustard seed, moistened with the diluent potency of aconite, which may be kept for this use for years in a well-corked vial without losing its curative power, is quite sufficient. So when we have a frightened, upset woman having her period, we can soothe her with a quick whiff of aconite. And remember, aconite is a very short-acting remedy, so we can use it intercurrently during our chronic treatment. Keep that in mind.
Why can we use it? Because it's of short action. How do we know it's not interfering with the remedy?
Does it say which remedies that it interferes with? It says here, we just checked that. He says that it's indispensable during frights, vexations, and
no, that's not what I meant. It just I thought the rule was to never give 2 remedies at the same time. So I'm surprised to hear we can. I mean, I knew of the concept of intercurrent remedies. Just doesn't matter.
No, you're absolutely right, and we want to clear this up. We are not giving 2 remedies at the same time. Let's say we have given somebody antimonium crudum, and then at some point they witness a car accident. And they're kind of freaking out. The sniff of aconite is not going to harm the long-term effects of the antimonium crudum, because this is a short, quick-acting remedy, and then the antisporic remedy will continue its action. So Hahnemann often tells us, we even have a video about the use of intercurrents that Hahnemann suggests. So this is not the same thing as using 2 remedies at the same time. We're not dumping 2 different things into a cup. We're just giving things as needed during the chronic treatment, if needed during the chronic treatment, because we can't just let our patients suffer when they've had some kind of shock. You know, we'll have to give them. Or, you know, if sometimes people will come down with an acute shortly after they've had antisporic medicine. So sometimes we want to just kind of weigh the pros and cons of interrupting that. So yeah, this is kind of where homeopathy gets to be a little bit of an art. You know, do
Yeah,
we want
yeah.
to,
Definitely.
do we want to use that? Okay, so that's vegetable acids and wine. Antidote, the effects of aconite. And so do other medicines which correspond palliatively or homeopathically to some of its troublesome symptoms that are when they have been produced by too large of a dose or unhomeopathic selection. Okay, Sanjay, what does that mean?
What?
Hello, Sanjay, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, what does it mean here? Vegetable acids will antidote its, and wine will antidote its effects, as do other medicines which correspond palliatively or homeopathically to some of its troublesome symptoms, produced by too large of a dose or unhomeopathic selection. It means we can modify the action.
I don't get it.
Okay, so when we've given too much aconite, we can then use wine, vegetable acids, or the next better remedy.
Okay. Very advanced.
Okay. And that is all we have for screen share today.
Really?
Yep. And then we go on to the 500 something.
We'll read all of them.
Right. We went through the mental section, and then I can kind of give, we have vertigo of various types.
Wait. I will go down. You tell me where. Here?
Oh, yeah, we could just kind of look through this a little bit. Vertigo.
Yeah.
Various types of vertigo. Giddy also means vertigo. There's a lot of dizziness and vertigo in aconite. Keep scrolling. We're just going to kind of go through this real quick. How long have we been recording?
I don't know, man. But less than an hour. I think maybe like 30-40 minutes, because we lost some time because you went off.
Yep. Okay. So distraction of the attention when reading and writing. And then we can look at the black things here. The head in front is as if nailed up in the warm room. Have you seen any of those pictures where they'll show a board and nails for aconite?
No, never.
There's some people who have made some very clever books with some of the keynotes. So having a sensation of having like a board that's nailed to the forehead is like one of the keynotes. Okay, and that's particularly in a warm room. And then there's stupid feeling of the head, as if he had a board before the forehead. And you remember when we're looking through proving data, the longer it's been after taking the dose, the more reliable the symptoms. So we have want of memory, unsteadiness of ideas. So, and the head in front as if nailed up, particularly in a warm room, with that bored feeling. Like there's a board attached to the front of the head. Okay, so there's weakened thinking, but there's also lively memory. There's a lot of contradictory back and forth, and that's why it's mentioned what aconite has. What were we saying, that sometimes people think of pulsatilla?
Alternating symptoms like gayness and then being frightened or vexed, right?
Yes, exactly that. Thank you. Okay, you can keep scrolling. You can keep scrolling. Emptiness of the head. as if intoxication, confusion, as after intoxication, aching, fullness in the forehead, as if a weight lay there. Okay, and again, that something pressed there, as if there's a weight. Stupefying, semilateral drawing in the head, aching pain, contractive pain of the forehead, tension of the forehead, and stooping, her forehead feels very full.
What does stooping mean?
Bending forward. Let's say you're going to bend forward and pick up your socks from the floor when you're sick, and you feel like everything's going to come out through the head. Yes, I've actually had that symptom. As the
Cool.
forehead feels full. Okay, headache, as if the eyes would fall out of the head. Headache as if the brain were pressed out. Headache as if the brain were lifted up, which is increased by slight movement, even drinking and speaking. Speaking increases headache. Shooting, throbbing headache. Headache, a throbbing of the left side of the forehead, while strong beats occur by the right side in fits. Fits means like spasms, little bits at a time. So you see here that sometimes it says after 1/2 hour, sometimes it says after 3 hours, sometimes it says 6 hours. That shows you how good the symptom is as well. Okay, we have tearing pain, lots of headache in the forehead, lots of pain, shooting pains in jerks, shooting beating headaches in the temples, tearing pain, feeling of contraction of the brain, squeezing pensive headache close behind the orbits, a pinching and squeezing in the forehead, squeezing. Oh, crepitation. This is a very interesting one here. A feeling of crepitation like bending gold tinsel to and fro in the temples, nose, and forehead. Okay, so pretend nobody has gold tinsel right now. Pretend you have like a piece of aluminum foil, and you're kind of like playing with the aluminum foil and having that sensation of it being like crack, 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 crack.
Okay. Temples, nose, and forehead.
Crispy sound.
Sorry?
Crispy.
Crispy?
Yeah.
Crackling.
Yeah, crackling. If I had a piece of aluminum foil, I could do it for you. But that's a fun one. And then there's a really fun one in here, in the sleep section, that I'm going to ask Sanjay if he has any of his. Do you have any of those HHF books sitting around, Sanjay?
I have, but not here now.
I only want to know which one, what they call driving sheep.
Driving ship.
Mm-hmm.
Place to place. It's they call anxiety. The man is just changing constantly his position or going here and there constantly.
Because this is where the proving comes in of driving sheep. You have a man who wakes up sleeping.
And he moves constantly. It's
No.
from anxiety, actually.
That's not what it says here in the proving data, though. It's in the delirious with sleep. Wakes that way. Okay, can anybody else read any more of the black symptoms here? We have jerkings, twitchings, drawing pains, shooting pains, creeping pains.
You mean like the bolded symptoms?
Yeah, just kind of, just pick out a few.
Dilated pupils, photophobia. So creeping pain on the cheeks, epistaxis, which I don't know what that is.
Nosebleed.
Oh,
Nosebleed.
okay. Penetrating fine stitches in the tip of the tongue. And may I ask before we continue,
Of course.
why are they bolded?
Why are they bolded? Can anybody answer the question why Materia Medica Pura has bolded
I
symptoms
never
occasionally?
understood that. I mean, obviously they're important for some reason, but more provers
Yeah,
had the
I
symptom.
think these are the more characteristics of the remedy.
And how do we know what's most characteristic? I don't understand.
That's why the Hanuman has seen this prominent symptom. Prominent.
Ah, okay. So many provers had the symptom. Yeah?
Yeah, you can say. Or
More frequently than the other ones. Yeah?
yeah,
Okay.
more stronger than the other
Okay.
symptoms.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. So penetrating fine stitches in the tip of the tongue. Quite peculiar. Hmm. Empty eructation.
Yeah, burping without smell or taste.
She
is this?
vomits lumbricae.
Yeah, worms.
Okay.
And that's a historical entry, reading 1C. It is not a proving entry, it's a historical journal
What does that
entry.
mean?
Well, we have here the
So somebody was poisoned by aconite, and then
yeah,
they
we have right. We have
vomited
here
worms.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 entries that are not from the provings, but they are recorded traditional medicine effects.
Okay. That's so strange. Like, why would they add those symptoms? Like, it's not approving, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't tell you why Hahnemann did. Can anybody tell us why Hahnemann added some of these traditional medicine symptoms?
Nobody
It can
knows.
be a symptom from fragmenta.
Nope, these are symptoms from Albanto from 1496,
Jesus.
Bacon Vink, Durr from Hufflin's Journal, Gemlin from 1654, no, 52, Matitolius, 1738, Richard Cloud, and Stork. And Vaughan in the Libellus Distram Hyos et Acon. So he has an article about what does libellus mean?
What?
It says libellus distram Hyos et Acon. So it's an article
What?
about that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes I wish I knew more Latin. I only had 1 year of Latin in school and it was insufficient.
I had 4, but it's as if I had 1, so.
Oh, you got 4 years of Latin? That is so good.
And Old Greek, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, but I was such a bad student. So if I
Look
knew,
at
I'd
the symptom.
have some use of it. But I have the basics. Sorry.
Yeah.
Flatulent colic in the hypogastrium as if he had taken a platypus-producing purgative.
Where is hypogastrium?
It's below the belly button. No.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew it. You taught us well. Good teacher. Okay. White stool.
Why
That's
stools
this.
are white?
White stools are white.
Why?
Yes.
Achha, why?
Because of the liver.
Chile. Chile.
What is chyle?
It's chile, right?
Actually,
That's the word.
bile which is getting into a intestine has been blocked and it goes into the blood. So
Ew.
intestine is very clear from that bile. That's why the stool are whitish like paper.
That's amazing. Pain in the rectum, shooting and aching in the anus.
Again, this
Mm,
one C.
maybe we should differentiate between rectum and anus.
Rectum is higher part.
Yeah, and
Anus
anus is just the outside
just outside
ring. Yeah,
red
yeah,
opening. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, proceeding. Scroll, scroll.
Oh, there's diuresis with constant perspiration, urine
Sorry?
pass. There's a lot of peeing.
In aconite?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Anxious urging to urinate. Interesting. But does aconite have restlessness?
Extreme.
Okay, so that mind symptoms are at the end, right?
Right. Mine is at
Anxiety
the
and
end,
Okay.
restlessness is extreme in this.
Yeah, yeah,
but not always. Because
yeah.
there's
Okay.
also despair.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have the male sexual desire diminished. And
Okay.
then we also have, if we go up slightly, just a tiny bit,
But it
we
just
have,
says diminished sexual desire.
I know, but look, okay, very much increased sexual desire, rapidly alternating with relaxation.
Oh.
So we have that back and forth. We have amorous fits, and we have a shooting, pinching pain in the
Amorous fits.
right. I
Very
love
romantic, Tikva. Thank you.
almost like that song,
Sorry.
almost like that video today.
Yeah, I know.
Amorous
I
fits.
know.
Okay,
Damn.
so that dude's having amorous fits, but you see it has increased sexual desire, rapidly alternating with relaxation of the organ.
Where
So,
does it say that?
well, it says relaxation. Whenever they say relaxation, when they talk about male,
Oh, very subtle, very discreet.
yes, it's very
Proper
discreetly
gentleman.
saying, right, proper gentleman. He gets an erection, but then loses it.
Yeah, basically.
Rapidly alternating.
It's all wonky.
Yep, he's having a little problem there.
Yeah.
Okay, but then we have a couple of female things. We have pain with our period and we have heavy bleeding.
But this is so I'm sorry. This is so confusing to me because this we would consider this a chronic issue, right?
Yes.
So how so this is if it has a short action, then it's more like an ibuprofen kind of remedy. It won't
Yeah.
reestablish the normal menses, right? Aconite as a
Um,
remedy.
no, not really, but it can help during the acute attack.
Okay,
Let's
okay,
say,
okay, okay.
let's say a woman calls you at night and she says, I'm gushing, help me now. And so
Yeah,
you have to go to the I'm gushing, help me now rubrics
yeah,
and
yeah,
choose from
yeah,
the
yeah,
I'm gushing, help me now and give the
yeah.
appropriate things so that she'll stop gushing and then handle it with
Needing help,
whatever
yeah.
needs to be,
Yeah, yeah,
pure
yeah, 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 yeah.
or whatever she needs.
Fair enough.
Okay, so we've now got coughing. We
Yeah.
have a tickle at the upper part of the larynx. Little tickle.
Larynx.
hmm And a cough
Okay.
after drinking. And Hannah, there's a sensitivity to smoke with aconite as well.
Mm-hmm. Fetid
And
breath. Fetid
bad,
being
bad,
nasty.
bad breath. bad breath.
Yep,
Fetid
yes.
is a bad smell.
Interesting. Moving on.
Look at this symptom.
I like symptom number
Anxiety.
290. Are you talking about symptom number 290?
No, he's talking about symptom number 296. No, 7. On the middle of the sternum, pain as if bruised. Also increased by external touch. And Tikva, you like at every breath shooting from the lowest strip on the right side. What?
This.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
With anxiety and peevishness, a shooting in the side of the chest, followed by the throbbing in the side of the chest, then aching headache.
You don't know, you'd use this if you're using a Bonninghausen repertory, you'll put this into building blocks. Or you could do it with a regular repertory by generalities, anxiety, but now we've passed the page, so now I can't build it with the building blocks. We're not using our Legos today.
Like combining rubrics?
Yeah, no, you could use little bits, fragments, and use them as Legos in order to build your rubrics. You can make your own rubrics to like define a sentence per se, for example.
Yeah.
I'd like to think of rubrics as being like Legos. We all know how to play Lego, right? I don't have any in this room. The Legos are downstairs. Okay, so we have violent pains. We have pain as if bruised. Crawling in the spine as from beetles. Boring pain, digging pain, lumbar pain, aching pain. We have so many different varieties in aconite. At the nape of the neck, rheumatic pain in the nape, only observed when moving the neck. Between the 5th and 9th hour. So it doesn't hurt if you hold the head still, but when we move the neck, it hurts. And this movement. Tearing pain from the shoulder, down the arm, as far as the wrist, and even the fingers. Almost only on every movement during the pain, the hand is blue. We run across that. We know what remedy to give, huh? We have shoulder.
Which one?
Tearing, shoulder, hand, running down the fingers with a blue hand. So each of these numbers, these are all something that is interesting and characteristic in aconite, but maybe in another remedy as well. That's why we have to be able to build our case and see our best coverage. One of the most important things when we're doing like a repertorization is that we want to have the best coverage in our case.
Creeping pain. What is creeping pain?
Creeping? Like, so if something creeps, it's slowly coming, like in a mild manner, maybe.
Right. You can imagine, like you see a cartoon of a creeping pain. Tottering walk, owing to powerlessness and pain in the head of the femur.
Femur.
That means not even walking right.
Yeah.
You could be creeping and tottering at the same time, right? Okay, unsteadiness of knees, totter, want of firmness of knees, especially when it's one knee, gives way when walking, heaviness in the feet, pains in the ankle joints, with despairing thoughts and reflections on death. Ankles constricted by bandage, fine needle pricks here and there on the body. That's important. Sometimes people who have a traumatic experience will have itching or sensation of pricking on their body.
Why? Okay.
We have painful joints, weakness and laxity of the ligaments of all the joints. See, this is a multifaceted remedy.
This symptom is confusing to me. How did they get that from the proving? Like, how does that symptom even present? Like laxity of ligaments? I don't understand.
They must have felt that just that they didn't have, it's after 46 hours, which means it's a very important symptom in aconite. Weakness and laxity of the ligaments of all the joints. I guess they just felt loose.
If you have read above, there was a symptom shaking of joint.
I'm not familiar, but
Shaking means like this of joint.
yeah.
And this is related to weakness and laxity of ligament of the joint.
Okay.
So I could see totally how during a proving that somebody would feel like, they're walking, they just feel like their legs are going to give out, their arms are going to give out, their things aren't working right. It just feels too relaxed and like it's not working properly. And we have brainless cracking, fainting, yawns without being sleepy.
It happens to me.
And then we might want to think about aconite, when people yawn without being sleepy, both staph and
Interesting.
growth.
Light
Also,
sleep.
I'm going to make another aside here, is that aconite is really a very important remedy for what people nowadays call post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is.
But so I mean, this is so it's quite blatant to say, but then it can like cure chronic conditions. I thought it was more like an emergency care remedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what is post-traumatic stress? It's like being stuck in a trauma pattern.
Yeah, for sure.
And once you give that aconite, it's going to take maybe a week, and then the chronic will present, and you'll be ready to give a deeper acting remedy.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Now we have our fever section. Chill over the whole body with hot forehead, hot earlobes, and internal dry heat. Fever, coldness or stiffness of the whole body, redness of one cheek, coldness and paleness with the other. So don't confuse this with chamomile. Sometimes it might need to be aconite. Oh, and then we have our contracted pupils. Okay, but only dilates slightly in the dark. Okay, so in belladonna, we have big pupils. In aconite, we have small pupils.
Okay.
But then again, we're not going to see the presentation. It's like Hahnemann calls these the aggregates of the symptoms. So an aggregate is, when you're looking at pavement, you're looking at concrete, and you're seeing all those little tiny rocks inside the concrete, that's called aggregate. And so every case that we see in a human being has a certain aggregate of symptoms. And you want to have the best coverage possible in your remedy for all the little aggregates. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So this is a way to conceptualize what we're trying to do. We've got concrete that's the case, and we've got the little stones inside the case, and then we want to have good coverage of the remedy for those stones. We have perspiration, exhaustion, and then we have transient insanity. Oh, you missed.
What does that even mean? Transient insanity.
Just comes and goes. Wait, did we miss driving sheep? Did we miss driving sheep? We missed driving sheep. Symptom.
I can't.
Page number?
Wait. Symptom 442. Symptom 442 is driving sheep.
I can't.
If we can't have fun as homeopaths, when can we have fun, huh?
Okay.
The truth has
Here
been
is a
said.
symptom.
Yeah, there you got it. He is delirious while awake, jumps out of bed, and thinks he is driving sheep after
That
14
makes no
hours.
sense.
Yeah, he's
I'm sorry.
confused. He's sick. He has a fever. He jumps up and thinks that he is driving sheep. I can tell you that, last month when we had flu at our house, or maybe it was corona, we don't know, right? Because we didn't go for testing. But my son, my 20-year-old, he was in his bed. Now, I'd go and check on him every once in a while. And one time he was saying, "Mommy, I have cheese on my gun. How do I get the cheese off my gun?" Right? And so he was delirious. He had fever and he was delirious, and he was thinking that he had a gun and he had cheese on his gun that he needed to get off. So all these different kinds of things that happen when people are in a fever state are possible. Now we would have to see if there is anywhere in the provings cheese on the gun, but if we can have cheese on the gun, then we could definitely think we're driving sheep, especially if we live in a farming community. Imagine it. You see people driving sheep. You see people herding goats. You see people doing these activities. So if this is part of your everyday life, then that could enter into your delirious, kind of like fever, kind of sleep kind of thing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So if you live on a farm, you might.
445. Look at this.
Okay.
445.
445.
He dreams about half the night on a single subject and is also occupied with it alone several hours after waking, so that nothing besides this subject possesses his mind, like the fixed idea of an insane person, which is very annoying to him and bothers him. That's a very, very interesting symptom. Yeah, he's obsessing, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Half the night, but then several hours after waking, he can't think of anything except for that thing.
Of which he dreamt of?
Yeah, the same thing. Or maybe that the worry is going into the dreams, and then also
Here, look at this symptom, fever, chills of whole body. Whole body is cold. Forehead, earlobes are hot. How it can be explained?
What? Chill the whole body with, but I don't know.
Partial chill or partial heat?
Sorry, Radhika.
Can we say this is partial chill or partial heat? partial heat in the homophobes.
But I
Can you
don't
hear me?
understand. So the whole body is
His
chilly, but
whole
then internally.
only internal. He actually internal
So he feels hot.
heat is hot.
Yeah. But he is chilly physically.
Right, he's physically chilly and with heat, with a hot forehead and hot earlobes. That's why it's a good idea if we have an opportunity to test when we have a patient to touch various parts of their body to see or look for the keynotes, like 1 foot hot, 1 foot cold, things like that can give us a lot of clues for what we need to treat a case. It gets a little really tricky with corona, because people are told to stay away from the corona patient and you can't get people to go in the room to examine the person properly. Or when you're doing your remote call, it just gets
Yeah.
Important symptom.
Yep, there's that heat in the face again. Palpitation of the heart and anxiety and increased heat of the body, especially in the face. We often have red face. We can see that since it's a short-acting remedy, it doesn't say anything like, after 24 days. It's always, when it has a time stamp on it, it's always something like 5 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours, stuff like that. Just the number of hours, 9 hours. One of the biggest ones was like 16 hours. Doesn't like noise. And tendency to be startled. Takes every joke in a bad part. Disposed to be cross, quarrelsome, reproaches people, obstinate, angry, quarrelsome. I like them. Then we have another alternating. From hour to hour with silly insanity, he chatters childish nonsense and is extravagantly merry. Quarrelsome, alternating with silly insanity.
Okay.
And that's it. Thank you for joining us for the reading of Aconite and the Materia Medica Pura.
Any comment? Any comment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've already said some things, but for me, it was very interesting to see that, like, we can treat chronic conditions that people can be stuck in this state, such as PTSD. So that was kind of cool because I think of it as a cure remedy. I mean, I've never used it. I've used that kind of.
You can give Aconite in each and every disease state in its acute form and before 24 hours.
Okay, not sure I understand that.
Yeah, in this he has
He's
given.
contradicting me.
Sorry?
I said he's contradicting me. I don't think
Yeah, totally.
How?
Sanjay, have you ever used it in PTSD?
No. In every disease state, but in its acute phases. Before
Oh.
24 hours. After 24 hours, it won't. It can show effect, but it won't last.
I get what you're saying, but basically, I've only used Aconite once because I've learned in college that if somebody gets like sick from like dry wind or something like that suddenly, then it's a good remedy, and I give it to my roommate, I remember, and like it worked like a charm, but
Yep.
I haven't really used it. I didn't really understand it as a remedy. Now I understand it better, so thank you.
Yeah,
No,
Bonninghausen.
you need to understand the remedy first with its characterized symptoms. It's Boger is best to start with.
Okay. Well, good.
And Bonninghausen says that in order to learn each remedy, that you can, number one, you need to read through it a few times. And then number two, you could pick a rubric and then go to each place and find the corresponding data inside each rubric for each remedy included in the rubric. To use Bonninghausen's therapeutic pocketbook as a study tool.
What? Okay.
Nobody said homeopathy is easy.
Yeah. I wish they told me in the beginning. Now I'm stuck in this mess.
You're going to be okay.
Okay,
We'll
so
see.
we will stop this recording now.
I mean, if there are no more questions or comments.
You have questions now?
No.
Go
I'm done.
on record.
Wait, Siva, come on. Are you still there? Do you have a question?
No, he's
Already,
gone.
I am. He gone.
No, he's gone. Okay. Radhika? Sanjay, do you have a question about aconite?
No,
Yeah.
I haven't used.
Okay.
So
Sanjay
that was
doesn't have a
kind of
question.
fun. That was kind of fun to go through the original proving data. Well, not the original proving data because that's in Fragmenta. But here from the Materia Medica Pura, we have the proving data. And while it takes a long time to read through it, it gives us
But
a
wait,
really interesting feel.
but if the original proving is in Fragmenta, then what is this? I'm
Oh, they
confused.
just added. They added more. They
Okay.
got more
Added.
people. They added more. They got more people to do provings. They got people to prove it again. They just added more and more symptoms to the proving by doing additional provings.
Okay, 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 okay. Got it.
And we have the provers here. Were where's the list of provers? Honor, Gross, Frederick Hahnemann, Hornberg, Ruckert Sr., Staff, Wale, or Whale. I don't know which way it's pronounced. And also Hahnemann himself. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 provers.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of dizziness, have a lot of headache, a lot of aching pains, burning pains, dilated pupils, and contracted pupils. So there's contradictory symptoms here. If we had Devira here, she could talk about the polarity analysis. And there's even photophobia. Because we have dilated pupils in bold, but then we also have contracted pupils in a smaller. So that might show up in her polarity analysis as dilated pupils being preferable. But there's also desire for light, longing to look into bright light. There's where we have that rubric, light desires in aconite.
Yeah.
But we have photophobia at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's photophobia, there's desire for light, wanting to have the light on. You know, you have sick people and they're like, don't turn off the light. Don't turn off the light. I need the light on in the hall. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
That all falls under light desires. Okay. We good?